Commander Sarah Chen stood in the large room where aliens from 12 different worlds sat around a glowing table. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet that made her nose itch. She kept her face calm and friendly, even though her heart was beating fast with anger. The tall blue alien named Zektar was talking again. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Earth will give us more metal from your space rocks," he said. 40% more than before. "Your ships cannot leave your sun's area without our ships watching you." Sarah nodded like she agreed. Around the table, other aliens made happy clicking and buzzing sounds. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans were just smart animals who could do work for them. The aliens had come to Earth 30 years ago. Their big ships appeared in the sky one day and humans thought it was amazing. First contact with life from other worlds. But the aliens did not come as friends. They came as masters. At first, the aliens seemed kind. They gave humans some simple technology. They let humans build small ships to mine rocks in space. They even let humans trade with other worlds. But every gift came with rules. Every deal made humans weaker. The aliens took the best mining spots for themselves. They told humans which planets they could visit. They decided how many humans could live on each world. Earth became like a prison with invisible walls. But Sarah knew something the aliens did not know. She had a tiny computer in her brain that let her talk to other humans without speaking. Right now, she was sending a secret message to Luna Base on Earth's moon. "They still think we are helpless," she typed with her thoughts. "They believe we have no real weapons. Phase 1 is complete." Luna Base was not what the aliens thought it was. To them, it looked like a simple research station where humans studied moon rocks. They had no idea that under the gray dust, humans had built something incredible. For 30 years, humans had been pretending. Every trade ship that left Earth was actually a disguised warship. Every mining station was really a military base. Every human who smiled and bowed to the aliens was really a spy. The plan started the day the aliens arrived. While human leaders smiled and signed treaties, human engineers were already working. They studied every piece of alien technology. They learned how to make it better. They built factories in secret places where alien sensors could not find them. The aliens thought they were so smart. They gave humans basic space travel technology, not knowing that humans had already figured out how to improve it. They shared simple energy weapons, not knowing that humans had built much better ones. Sarah remembered her first meeting with Admiral Webb 5 years ago. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He told her about the real plan. "We are not preparing to fight them," he had said. "We are preparing to shock them. When they discover what we really are, their whole universe will change." Now, as Zektar finished talking about the new rules for humans, Sarah stood up slowly. She bowed her head like humans always did when talking to aliens. "Earth accepts these new rules," she said in a small voice. "We are grateful for your guidance." The aliens made more happy sounds. They thought they had won again. They did not see Sarah's secret smile. Behind the moon, in the dark side where alien ships never looked, thousands of human workers were putting the final pieces on their newest warship. It was bigger than anything the aliens had ever built. Its weapons could destroy an entire alien fleet. Its armor could stop any alien attack. But this ship was just one of hundreds, hidden in asteroid fields and secret bases throughout the solar system. Humanity's real fleet was waiting. Ships that could move faster than alien vessels. Weapons that could cut through alien shields like paper. Technology that would make the aliens realize they had made a terrible mistake. Sarah finished the meeting and walked out of the alien building. Her personal shuttle waited outside, a small ship that looked harmless and slow. The alien guards barely looked at it as she climbed inside. But this shuttle was not what it seemed either. Hidden under its simple metal skin were engines that could outrun any alien fighter. Its computer could hack into any alien system. Even this tiny ship could probably defeat a small alien warship. As Sarah flew back toward Earth, she looked at the beautiful blue planet below. Soon the aliens would learn the truth. Soon they would discover that humanity was not their pet. Humanity was their equal, maybe their superior. The secret message system in her brain buzzed with new information. Reports from human agents all across the galaxy. The aliens were planning something big. They wanted to make humans even weaker. They were talking about controlling how many human children could be born. Sarah's hands tightened on the shuttle controls. The aliens had made their choice. They had decided to treat humans like animals instead of people. Now they would learn what happened when you made humanity angry. In the asteroid belt, human miners worked at dozens of mining stations. To alien observers, they looked like regular workers digging up metal and rocks, but each mining station was really a fortress. Each miner was really a soldier. Each tool was really a weapon. The aliens had given humans permission to mine the asteroids because they thought the rocks were mostly worthless. They kept the good planets for themselves, but they did not understand human creativity. Humans had turned those worthless rocks into the foundation of the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Sarah's shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere and headed toward the Space Center in Houston. Outside her window, she could see normal human life continuing. People going to work, children playing in parks, families eating dinner together. None of them knew that their planet was about to become the center of a galactic war. But they would be ready. Every human city had secret bunkers and weapons hidden underground. Every human civilian had basic military training, even if they did not know it was military training. The aliens thought they were teaching humans useful job skills. They never realized they were creating an army. As Sarah landed her shuttle, Admiral Webb was waiting for her with a serious expression on his face. He handed her a data pad with urgent news. "It's starting," he said quietly. "Our agents report that the hegemony is planning to attack a human colony ship. They want to make an example of us." Sarah read the report quickly. The New Horizon was carrying 15,000 humans to a new world. It was supposed to be humanity's first real colony outside the solar system. But the aliens saw it as a threat to their power. "How long do we have?" Sarah asked. "Maybe a week," Admiral Webb replied. "Maybe less." Sarah looked up at the stars where human families were traveling toward their new home, not knowing that alien warships were preparing to attack them. The time for pretending was almost over. "Send the message to all stations," she said. "Operation Revelation begins now." Deep in space, human ships began to move toward their hidden positions. The greatest deception in galactic history was about to end. And when it did, the aliens would discover that they had not been ruling over humans at all. They had been living at humanity's mercy. Captain Maria Santos felt the ship shake again as another system failed. The New Horizon was dying around her, and she knew it. Red warning lights flashed on every wall, and the smell of burning electronics filled the air. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported her second officer, Lieutenant Park. His voice was calm, but Maria could see the fear in his eyes. "Emergency teams are sealing it now." The New Horizon was humanity's pride. A massive colony ship carrying 15,000 people to their new home. Families with children, scientists, farmers, teachers, all the people needed to build a new world. They had been traveling for 3 months, and they were only 3 days away from their destination. But now the main reactor was failing. Nobody knew why. The alien-made power core had worked perfectly for years. Then suddenly it started breaking down. Energy levels dropped every hour. Life support was struggling to keep everyone alive. "Send the distress call again," Maria ordered. "All frequencies. Tell them we need immediate help." She looked out the bridge windows at the empty space around them. Somewhere out there, alien ships were traveling between the stars. The Galactic Council had ships everywhere. Someone would hear their call. Someone would come. The Council had rules about helping ships in trouble. Even human ships. At least that was what everyone believed. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "I'm getting responses to our distress call. 6 ships, maybe 7. They're hegemony warships." Maria felt hope rise in her chest. The hegemony were the strongest military force in the Council. If anyone could save her people, it was them. "How long until they reach us?" 4 hours, Captain." Maria activated the ship's internal communications. Her voice echoed through every hallway and room where 15,000 humans waited for news. "This is your captain," she said. "Help is coming. Hegemony ships are on their way. Everyone remain calm and follow emergency procedures. We're going to be fine." In the ship's lower levels, children played games while their parents tried not to look worried. In the medical bay, doctors prepared for possible evacuation procedures. In the engineering sections, human technicians worked desperately to keep the failing reactor stable for just a few more hours. 4 hours later, the hegemony ships arrived. Maria watched through the bridge windows as 6 massive alien warships dropped out of hyperspace. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, long and sleek with weapons that could destroy planets. She had never seen warships this close before. "Open a channel," she ordered. Hegemony vessels, this is Captain Santos of the New Horizon. Thank you for responding to our distress call. We have 15,000 civilians aboard and our reactor is failing. We need immediate evacuation assistance. The reply came quickly, but it was not what Maria expected. Human vessel, said a voice that sounded like grinding metal. This is Commander Thekal of the Hegemony Third Fleet. You will prepare for inspection. Inspection? Maria asked, confused. Commander, we need evacuation help. Our reactor could explode at any moment. Your reactor is not our concern, Thekal replied. We are here for military exercises. Your ship will serve as a training target. Maria felt ice form in her stomach. Commander, I don't understand. We called for help. We have civilians aboard. Children. Human breeding has become excessive, the alien commander said, his voice completely without emotion. The council has decided that human population must be controlled. Your ship represents an opportunity for practical training in population management. On the tactical display, Maria watched in horror as the hegemony ships powered up their weapons. The massive guns that could crack open planets were turning toward the New Horizon. This is impossible, she whispered. The council has laws about helping ships in distress. You can't just murder civilians. Laws apply to citizens, Thekal replied. Humans are property. Property can be disposed of when convenient. The first shot hit the New Horizon's communications array, cutting off their ability to call for help. The second shot disabled their engines. The alien warships moved into a perfect circle around the helpless human ship. Attention, human vessel, Commander Thekal announced. You will launch all escape pods immediately. Our gunners require moving targets for training exercises. Maria could not believe what she was hearing. They wanted her people to get into escape pods so the aliens could practice shooting them down. It was not a battle. It was not war. It was murder for entertainment. I will not order my people into those pods so you can kill them, Maria said, her voice shaking with rage. You will comply, or we will destroy your ship with everyone aboard. Thekal replied. The exercise begins in 10 minutes. Maria looked around her bridge at her officers. These were good people who had volunteered to help build humanity's first colony. Now they were all going to die because aliens thought it would be fun to practice shooting humans. Captain, Lieutenant Park said quietly, maybe if we launch the pods in different directions, some people might escape. Maria nodded slowly. It was not much hope, but it was something. She activated the ship's communications one more time. All passengers, this is your captain. We are abandoning ship immediately. All families report to escape pod stations. Move quickly and quietly. Do not panic. Some of us will survive this. But she knew she was lying. As soon as the pods launched, the alien guns would start firing. 15,000 people were about to die, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The evacuation took 8 minutes. Families kissed goodbye, not knowing it was forever. Parents held their children tight as the escape pods sealed shut. Old people helped young people find their seats, sacrificing their own chances for survival. Maria was in the last pod to launch. As the small craft separated from the New Horizon, she could see dozens of other pods scattered across space. Each one carried 20 or 30 humans who thought they were escaping to safety. Exercise commencing, Commander Thekal announced on all frequencies. All council ships observe firing patterns. Human pods make excellent moving targets due to their predictable flight paths. The alien guns opened. Fire. Maria watched through her pod's small window as beams of energy reached out from the hegemony ships. Each beam touched an escape pod, and the pod simply disappeared. No explosion, no flash of light. The pods just stopped existing. One by one, the alien gunners destroyed every escape pod carrying human families. They took their time, making sure their shots were perfect. Some aliens seemed to be competing to see who could hit the smallest targets. In 15 minutes, it was over. 15,000 humans had been reduced to nothing but empty space and scattered atoms. The aliens had broadcast the entire massacre across their communication networks, calling it a training exercise in dealing with human contamination. Maria's pod was the only one left. Commander Thekal had saved her for last. Human captain, his voice crackled through her pod's radio. You will observe the final lesson. Your ship. The alien weapons turned toward the New Horizon. The massive colony ship, humanity's greatest achievement in space travel, exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from light years away. Exercise complete, Thekal announced. All units return to base. Human contamination has been successfully eliminated, but the aliens had made a mistake. They thought they had destroyed all the evidence. They thought no one would ever know what really happened. But Maria's escape pod had something they did not expect: a hidden hyperspace communication system. Even as alien weapons locked onto her pod for the final shot, Maria activated the secret transmitter. Every detail of the massacre, every word the aliens had spoken, every moment of the slaughter was instantly transmitted to Earth. "This is Captain Santos," she broadcast as the alien guns powered up for the last time. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them the aliens murdered 15,000 innocent people for sport. Tell them the Council thinks we are just animals to be hunted. Tell them—" The transmission ended. On Earth, Admiral Webb received the message in his secret command center deep under Luna Base. He watched the recording of the massacre 3 times before he could speak. When he finally gave his orders, his voice was steady as stone. "Send the message to all human ships," he said. "The pretending is over. Operation Revelation begins now. And may God help the aliens when they discover what they have awakened." In space stations and hidden bases throughout the solar system, humans who had spent 30 years pretending to be weak began preparing for war. The aliens had wanted to show their superiority by murdering helpless civilians. Now they would learn what happened when they made humanity truly angry. Admiral Zektar stood on the bridge of his massive warship and felt pleased with himself. Around him, 200 of the galaxy's most powerful ships waited in perfect formation at the edge of the human solar system. This was the largest military force ever assembled by the Galactic Council. The humans had been making trouble since the New Horizon incident. Riots on Earth, protests on human space stations, angry messages sent to Council worlds. The humans needed to learn their place once and for all. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, a small green alien with 4 arms. "Our sensors show 12 human ships in the system. All of them appear to be civilian vessels, cargo ships and mining platforms." Zektar nodded. This would be easier than he thought. The humans barely had a military at all. A few patrol boats, maybe some armed cargo ships. Nothing that could stand against Council dreadnoughts. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth." "Put it on screen," Zektar ordered. A human appeared on the main display. It was a woman with short dark hair and the kind of calm expression that Zektar had learned to hate. Humans always looked so peaceful, even when they were about to be destroyed. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet," the human said. "You have entered Sol space without permission. You have 30 minutes to withdraw, or we will demonstrate why humanity has spent the last 30 years pretending to be weak." Zektar laughed, a sound like rocks breaking. "Terran Defense Fleet? What fleet? We see 12 cargo ships." "Look again," Admiral Chen replied. Suddenly, every alarm on Zektar's ship began screaming at once. His tactical officer was staring at his displays with all 4 eyes wide with terror. "Sir," the officer whispered, "our sensors are detecting— I don't understand these readings. There are ships everywhere." Zektar looked at the main tactical display and felt his blood turn cold. Where moments before his sensors had shown empty space, now there were contacts everywhere. Hundreds of them. Ships were appearing behind asteroids, rising from the surfaces of moons, and simply materializing in what had looked like empty space. "This is impossible," Zektar said. "Our sensors are the best in the galaxy. Nothing can hide from them." But the evidence was right in front of him. The human solar system was full of warships. Not cargo ships or mining platforms, but real military vessels with energy signatures that made his own dreadnoughts look weak. The largest human ships were massive, bigger than anything in the Council fleet. They had sleek angular designs that looked nothing like the clumsy human ships he had seen before. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with energy fields that his computers could not identify. But it was the smaller ships that truly frightened him. Thousands of fighters and destroyers moved through space like living things. They twisted and turned in ways that should have been impossible, their movements too fast and too precise for any known technology. "Sir," his weapons officer reported, his voice shaking. "The human ships are taking formation around us. We're completely surrounded." Zektar tried to understand what he was seeing. For 30 years, the Council had watched human space. They had seen every ship the humans built. They had approved every piece of technology the humans used. How could humanity have hidden a fleet this large? Then he realized the terrible truth. Every human mining ship that had left the solar system had been a disguised warship. Every research station had been a military base. Every harmless cargo vessel had been carrying weapons and soldiers. The humans had been lying for 30 years. While the Council thought they were controlling human development, humanity had been building the most advanced fleet in galactic history. Admiral Chen, Zektar transmitted, trying to keep his voice steady. This is clearly some kind of misunderstanding. The Council came here to discuss new trade agreements. The human admiral smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Admiral Zektar, I have recordings of every Council meeting for the past 30 years. I know exactly why you came here. You came to finish what you started with the New Horizon. Zektar felt sweat running down his face. How did the humans know about that? The New Horizon massacre had been classified as a training exercise. Only Council military commanders knew the truth about what had happened. You murdered 15,000 innocent people, Admiral Chen continued. Men, women, and children who had done nothing wrong. You killed them for sport and called it practice. The Council has authority over all human activities, Zektar replied, but his voice sounded weak even to himself. We were within our rights. No, Admiral Chen said simply. You are not. And now you will learn what happens when someone hurts humanity's children. The human ships began to move. They did not accelerate slowly like normal spacecraft. They simply appeared in new positions as if they could teleport instantly across space. Within seconds, the careful formation of Council ships was broken, as human vessels appeared between them, above them, and around them. All ships, Zektar broadcast to his fleet. Open fire! Destroy the human vessels! The Council ships unleashed everything they had. Energy beams that could boil oceans, missile swarms that could crack planets, gravity weapons that could tear apart moons. The combined firepower of 200 dreadnoughts lit up space like a new star. But when the light faded, the human ships were still there. Not one of them had been destroyed. Most of them had simply moved out of the way, dodging weapons fire that should have been impossible to avoid. Others had taken direct hits that would have vaporized any Council ship, but their shields had absorbed the damage without even flickering. Impossible, Zektar whispered. Our weapons should have destroyed them. Your turn is over, Admiral Chen said calmly. Now it's ours. The human ships opened fire. Zektar had never seen weapons like these. Beams of twisted gravity that crushed Council ships like empty cans. Projectiles that passed through shields like they did not exist, then exploded inside enemy hulls. Fighter craft that deployed what looked like tiny black holes, creating gravitational distortions that pulled entire squadrons off course. The Council ships tried to fight back, but it was hopeless. The human vessels were faster, stronger, and armed with technology that seemed to break the laws of physics. Alien dreadnoughts that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were being torn apart by human ships that moved like ghosts. Sir, his tactical officer reported, his voice barely a whisper. We've lost 60 ships, 70, 80. Zektar watched his proud fleet being destroyed with surgical precision. The humans were not just winning. They were demonstrating their superiority. Each human ship seemed to be playing with its targets, showing off advanced technology before delivering the killing blow. All ships retreat, Zektar ordered. Jump to hyperspace immediately. But the human ships had surrounded them completely. As Council vessels tried to escape, human fighters appeared in their path. Energy fields that Zektar could not understand reached out and grabbed the fleeing ships, holding them in place like insects in a web. In 6 hours, it was over. Of the 200 Council ships that had entered the Sol system, only 12 remained. Zektar looked around his bridge at the surviving crew members and realized they were all staring at him with the same expression, the look of people who had just discovered they were not the strongest beings in the universe. Admiral Zektar, Admiral Chen's voice came through the communication system. You and 11 other ships will be allowed to leave. 1 representative from each Council species. You will carry word of this battle back to your governments. Why? Zektar asked. Why let any of us survive? Because the galaxy needs to know what really happened here, Admiral Chen replied. For 30 years, humanity pretended to be weak while we built the most powerful fleet in galactic history. We studied your technology and improved it. We mapped your territories and learned your weaknesses. We prepared for this day. The human admiral paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of 30 years of planning and rage. Humanity remembers the 15,000 souls you murdered on the New Horizon. We remember every insult, every restriction, every moment you treated us as animals instead of people. The Sol exclusion zone now extends 50 light-years in all directions. Any alien vessel that enters this space without explicit human permission will be destroyed. Zektar's ship shuddered as human tractor beams pushed it toward the edge of the system. Around him, the other surviving Council vessels were being herded like sheep by human fighters. "We are no longer your subjects," Admiral Chen continued. "We are your equals. Act accordingly." As Zektar's ship jumped to hyperspace carrying news of humanity's true power back to the Council worlds, he realized that everything had changed. The galaxy's strongest military force had just been destroyed by a species the Council had thought was helpless. Behind them, in the Sol system, human ships were already beginning the next phase of their plan. Hidden bases throughout unexplored space were activating. Secret colonies were revealing themselves. The true scope of human expansion was about to shock the galaxy even more than the battle had. Humanity was no longer hiding, and the universe would never be the same. The news of humanity's victory at Sol spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, alien leaders stared at the battle recordings in shock and disbelief. The impossible had happened. The weakest species in the galaxy had just destroyed the strongest military force ever assembled. On the Hegemony homeworld, Supreme Commander Vexal watched the tactical recordings for the 5th time. Each viewing made the situation seem worse. 200 of their finest warships reduced to scrap metal by humans using technology that should not exist. "How did we miss this?" he asked his intelligence officers. 30 years of surveillance and we saw nothing?" "Sir," replied his chief analyst, a nervous alien with too many tentacles, "our review suggests the humans have been planning this deception since first contact. Every trade agreement, every technology transfer, every mining operation was part of their strategy." Vexal felt sick. The Hegemony had given humans access to basic space travel, thinking they were helping primitive creatures take their first steps into space. Instead, they had given humanity the foundation to build the most advanced fleet in galactic history. "What are our options?" Vexal asked. "Immediate surrender," the analyst replied without hesitation, "or total war against a superior enemy." Vexal slammed his fist on the table. The Hegemony had ruled a third of the galaxy for 2,000 years. They would not surrender to anyone, especially not to humans. "Send word to all allied species," he ordered. "We are forming the largest military alliance in galactic history. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. The humans may have surprised us once, but they cannot fight the entire galaxy." But as Vexal prepared for war, he did not realize that other species were making very different choices. On the peaceful world of Zentar, the Council of Elders had watched the Sol battle recordings with growing excitement. For 800 years, they had lived under Hegemony rule, forced to send tribute and soldiers to support alien wars they did not believe in. "The humans have shown us that the Council is not invincible," said Elder Morin, her ancient voice filled with hope. "If one species can stand against them, perhaps others can as well." Within days, the Zentar rebellion began. Human ships appeared in their system, not as conquerors, but as allies. Human engineers helped them disable Council monitoring stations. Human weapons made their small defense fleet capable of fighting Council warships. The same thing happened on dozens of worlds. Species that had submitted to Council rule for centuries suddenly found the courage to rebel. Humanity was not just fighting the Council, they were inspiring a galactic revolution. But not everyone chose rebellion. The Saurian Empire, ancient enemies of humanity, saw an opportunity to gain power by destroying the human threat. Their massive war fleets began moving toward human space. Admiral Sarah, Chen received the intelligence reports in her command center deep inside Luna Base. Holographic displays showed enemy fleets converging on human territory from 6 different directions. It was exactly what they had planned for. "How many ships total?" she asked her intelligence officer. "Over 3,000, Admiral, the largest military force in galactic history." Chen smiled grimly. The aliens were making the same mistake they always made. They thought numbers meant victory. They had no idea what humanity had really built during 30 years of secret preparation. "Activate all hidden bases," she ordered. "Full deployment. Let them see what they're really fighting." Across the galaxy, human facilities that had hidden for decades suddenly revealed themselves. Mining stations transformed into fortress battleships. Research outposts became fleet command centers. Cargo depots opened to reveal squadrons of the most advanced warships ever built. The aliens had thought humans controlled only the Sol system. Now they discovered that humanity had colonies and bases scattered throughout unexplored space. Worlds the Council did not even know existed were home to millions of humans and protected by fleets that could destroy entire alien armadas. The first major battle came at the Kepler system, where humanity had built a secret shipyard inside a gas giant's atmosphere. The Saurian Empire sent 200 warships to destroy it, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found a fortress that had been preparing for this moment for 20 years. Human defense platforms emerged from the gas giant's clouds like sea monsters rising from the depths. Each platform carried weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop any alien attack. The Saurian commander, Admiral Krekson, realized too late that he had led his fleet into a trap. Human ships appeared from hidden positions throughout the system. They moved with the same impossible speed and precision that had destroyed the Council fleet at Sol. But this time, the humans did more than just win. They captured alien ships intact. They took prisoners for interrogation. They gathered intelligence about alien military capabilities and weaknesses. "This is Admiral Krekson to all Saurian ships," the alien commander broadcast in desperation. "Retreat immediately. The humans have technology beyond our understanding." But retreat was not possible. Human gravity weapons had created invisible walls throughout space. Alien ships found themselves trapped in corridors where human vessels waited with weapons charged and ready. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the entire Saurian attack fleet had been destroyed or captured. Not a single human ship had been lost. Similar battles erupted across the galaxy as alien species learned the true scope of human power. The crystalline hegemony sent their living warships to attack human colonies, only to discover that humans had developed weapons specifically designed to shatter crystal-based technology. The Machine Collective deployed their robotic swarms against human space stations, but found that human computers could hack and reprogram alien robots faster than they could attack. The energy beings of Proxima tried to assault human minds directly, but discovered that humans had developed mental shields that made their psychic attacks useless. Each alien species that attacked humanity had the same experience. Their greatest strengths turned into weaknesses against human technology. It was as if humans had studied every possible enemy and developed specific countermeasures. But the most shocking discovery came when alien intelligence services finally understood the true scope of human expansion. For 30 years, while the Council thought they were controlling human development, humanity had been spreading throughout the galaxy. Human colonies existed on worlds the aliens had never explored. Human trading posts operated in systems the Council had never mapped. Human intelligence networks had been gathering information from every major alien government for decades. The aliens had not been watching humanity develop. Humanity had been watching them. On the Hegemony homeworld, Supreme Commander Vexal received a message that made his blood freeze. The human colony of New Geneva had just announced its existence 20 light-years behind hegemony lines. The colony had a population of 12 million humans and a defense fleet that included 40 of humanity's most advanced dreadnoughts. "How is this possible?" Vexal demanded. "That system has been empty for millennia." "Sir," his intelligence chief reported with a trembling voice, "our deep space scans show human colonies in over 200 previously unknown systems. They've been expanding for 30 years while we thought they were trapped in Sol." Vexal stared at the galactic map, where red dots marked confirmed human colonies. There were so many that they formed a network spanning half the galaxy. Humanity had not just built a fleet, they had built an empire. The final shock came when human ships appeared in orbit around the hegemony homeworld itself, not attacking, just sitting there in space where everyone could see them. A quiet demonstration that humanity could reach any world they chose. Admiral Chen's message was broadcast to every inhabited planet in the galaxy. To all alien governments, humanity tried peace for 30 years. We offered friendship and cooperation. You chose to treat us as property instead of people. You murdered our children and called it training. Now you have seen the consequences of your choices. The message continued as alien leaders watched human warships patrol their own solar systems. We are not here to conquer you. We are here to teach you respect. Any species that recognizes human sovereignty and agrees to treat us as equals will find us generous allies. Any species that continues to see us as inferior will discover that we are no longer hiding our true capabilities. On worlds throughout the galaxy, alien governments face the same choice: accept humanity as an equal partner, or face the most advanced military force in galactic history. Most chose wisely, but some species, blinded by pride and ancient prejudices, chose to fight to the end. The Void Hunters, a race that had conquered dozens of worlds, declared that they would never submit to inferior creatures. Their homeworld was surrounded by human ships within a week. When they refused to surrender, the humans demonstrated a weapon that simply erased their planet's atmosphere, leaving the surface airless and cold, but the population alive to contemplate their choices. The message was clear. Humanity had the power to destroy any world they chose, but they preferred to show mercy to enemies who were willing to learn. As alien civilizations across the galaxy struggled to adapt to the new reality, one truth became clear to everyone. The age of alien dominance was over. Humanity had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, and they had Parar 6 months after. The Sol battle, the galaxy was a completely different place. The old Galactic Council building on Nexus Prime stood empty, its gleaming hall silent for the first time in 1,000 years. The species that had once ruled the galaxy now spent their time trying to understand how their universe had changed so completely. David Park stood in what used to be the Council's main assembly hall, looking at the empty seats where alien ambassadors had once decided humanity's fate. He was a former mining engineer who had spent 15 years pretending to be grateful for alien scraps while secretly overseeing the construction of humanity's most advanced shipyards. Now he was Earth's ambassador to what remained of the galactic government. It was a position he had never wanted, but Admiral Chen had insisted he was the right person for the job. "You understand both sides," she had told him. "You know what it feels like to be powerless, and you know what it took to become strong. The galaxy needs someone who can help them adapt to the new reality." Through the tall windows of the assembly hall, David could see human ships patrolling the space around Nexus Prime. They were there by invitation, not conquest. The surviving alien governments had asked for human protection after their own military forces proved unable to maintain order. The galaxy was experiencing the largest wave of revolutions in recorded history. Hundreds of species that had lived under Council rule were now demanding independence. Some transitions were peaceful, but others had erupted into civil wars that threatened to tear entire star systems apart. Humanity had become the galaxy's peacekeepers by default. Human fleets moved from system to system, separating warring factions and enforcing ceasefires. It was not a role they had sought, but it was one they accepted with typical human determination. "Ambassador Park," called a familiar voice behind him. David turned to see diplomat Zara of the Centauri Federation, one of the few alien species that had adapted quickly to the new order. Her people had been among the first to recognize human sovereignty and request alliance agreements. "The morning session is ready to begin," Zara said. "We have representatives from 47 species today." David nodded and walked toward the smaller conference room that now served as the galaxy's primary diplomatic center. The old council chamber had been designed to intimidate, with its massive size and raised platforms that put some species above others. The new meeting space was round with equal seating for all participants. As David entered the room, he saw the faces of alien diplomats from across the galaxy. Some looked hopeful, others fearful, and a few still showed the anger of species that could not accept their reduced status. But they were all here, which meant they were all learning to adapt. "Good morning, everyone, Dairi," David said as he took his seat. "Let's begin with the trade reports." The galaxy's economy had been transformed as completely as its politics. For centuries, the Council had controlled all major trade routes and resources. Alien corporations had grown rich by exploiting weaker species and keeping advanced technology for themselves. Now, human factories throughout the galaxy were producing goods that made alien technology look primitive. Gravity drives that could move ships faster than any alien vessel. Medical devices that could cure diseases the aliens thought were incurable. Agricultural systems that could make any planet bloom with life. But the most revolutionary change was in how trade was conducted. Humans insisted on fair agreements with all species, regardless of their size or power. Small worlds that had been ignored by the Council found themselves with direct access to the most advanced technology in the galaxy. The vegan colony cluster has exceeded their food production targets by 30%, reported Trade Coordinator Mills via hologram from Earth. They're now able to feed 12 neighboring systems that were experiencing shortages. David smiled. The Vegas had been one of the poorest species in the galaxy, forced to work in alien mines for barely enough resources to survive. Now they were becoming one of the galaxy's major food producers, using human agricultural technology to turn their desert worlds into gardens. The Aquatic Alliance has completed their first shipyard using human construction techniques. Mills continued. They'll be building their own defense fleets within the year. That was another major change. Instead of keeping superior technology for themselves, humans shared it freely with species that proved trustworthy. The goal was not to maintain human dominance, but to create a galaxy where every species could defend itself and prosper. Of course, not everyone was happy with the new system. Ambassador Park, interrupted Representative Krell of the warrior caste, his voice filled with barely controlled rage. My people demand to know when humans will return our conquered territories. David looked at the alien warrior calmly. The warrior caste had been one of the Council's most brutal enforcers, conquering weaker species and enslaving entire populations. When their fleet had attacked human colonies, they had discovered that humans could be just as ruthless when defending their people. Representative Krell, David replied, the territories in question were taken from species your people had conquered and enslaved. We returned them to their original inhabitants. If the warrior caste wants those worlds back, they can negotiate with the species that actually live there. Krell's face turned an angry shade of purple. Those species are primitives. They cannot govern themselves. They seem to be doing fine with human assistance, David said. Several of them have already established successful governments and are requesting membership in the new Galactic Alliance. The Galactic Alliance was humanity's answer to the old Council system. Instead of powerful species ruling over weaker ones, it was based on equal representation and mutual benefit. Any species could join as long as they agreed to basic principles of peaceful cooperation and respect for individual rights. Over 200 species had already joined. Some were former Council members seeking to rebuild their reputations. Others were newly independent worlds that had never had a voice in galactic affairs. All of them were learning to work together in ways that had never been possible under the old system. The morning session has concluded, David announced after 3 hours of negotiations and planning. The afternoon session will focus on the hegemony situation. As the alien diplomats filed out of the conference room, David remained behind to review the intelligence reports that had arrived during the meeting. The news was not good. The hegemony was one of the few major powers that had refused to accept the new reality. After their crushing defeat at Sol, they had retreated to their core systems and begun building what they called a resistance fleet. Intelligence suggested they were planning a massive assault designed to destroy human colonies and restore alien dominance. Admiral Chen appeared on David's personal communicator, her image flickering slightly due to the quantum encryption protecting their conversation. David, she said without preamble, the hegemony has just launched their attack. 2,000 ships heading for New Geneva. They think they can destroy our most important colony and break human morale. David felt his stomach tighten. New Geneva was home to 12 million humans, including many families who had children born in space during humanity's secret expansion. It was one of humanity's most beautiful colonies, built around floating cities that orbited a gas giant's moons. What's our response? He asked. Total. Admiral Chen replied simply. The hegemony has made their choice. They've rejected every offer of peaceful coexistence. They've ignored every warning. They want to fight to the end, so we're going to give them what they want. David had known this moment would come. For all of humanity's efforts to build a peaceful galaxy, there would always be species that could only understand force. The hegemony had ruled through fear and violence for 2,000 years. They could not imagine any other way to exist. How long? David asked. The battle will be over in 6 hours, Admiral Chen said. The aftermath will take longer. We're not just going to defeat their fleet, David. We're going to demonstrate what happens when someone threatens human children. The galaxy needs to see that our patience has limits. 6 hours later, David watched the battle recordings with the rest of the galaxy. The hegemony had assembled, the largest fleet in their history, 2,000 warships carrying enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. They had surrounded New Geneva with overwhelming force, expecting to massacre the human colonists just as they had murdered the passengers of the New Horizon. But humanity had learned from every battle they had fought. The human defense fleet at New Geneva was smaller than the attacking force, but it was equipped with weapons that made the aliens' technology look like stone tools. The battle lasted 20 minutes. Human ships moved through space like dancers, avoiding enemy fire while delivering precise strikes that crippled alien vessels without destroying them. When it was over, the entire hegemony fleet had been captured intact. Every alien crew member was taken prisoner, along with all their technology and battle plans. But the real shock came afterward. Instead of executing the alien prisoners or enslaving the